See, this is what you get when you have a big drink at brunch. Hi, my name is Ron Chuckett, and Retro Sports Network today takes a closer look at the National Pastime Next Generation Plus, or NPNG. Specifically, we're going to look at a board reader created by Ron Bernier from Baseball Sim Research. He's the one that's done all the legwork for him. This is kind of cut off, makes it easier for me to read. So you're looking at a shrunken screen. And what this is hey, this is the next generation of what would be an Abbott type engine, which is really the National Pastime engine. If you've played MP3, which is a Skeeter Soft, and now as a scorecard version from Conrad Judy, who converted the game over. You've seen some of those videos on YouTube. This is not the same game. This is refined in different ways. A little more granularity. There's no A, B, C, or D pitching. Their pitchers are rated on their ability to stop hits through dice rolls, through 2 dice rolls, and there should never be more than 2 dice rolls in any given situation. Maybe I think there's 3 if there's depending on a control check. So let's take a look at Glenn Abbott here. He's going to pitch in our sample game. You can see against there's 2 different ratings. Against right-handers, he can stop a hit on a 7 through 10 roll if the second roll is like a 1-1 or a 1-2. He can stop that hit. That becomes an out. Actually, it's easier to go over here. Ks are rated between K1 and K9. The higher the number, the more strikeouts he's going to get. And in some cases, a low number like a K1, like he has against a lefty, means that he's going to turn strikeouts into actual outs in the field. Pretty clever, huh? This S-Dam number that you see is his endurance rating. So he'll hold his rating through the first 25 batters. Then he just turns into a crappier pitcher. But if you do the cards and dice version of the game, you don't have to do that. You can just do it with whatever. And on the card, it doesn't have the combined. It goes, so you can use the split for the rating. So it's a specific rating against the right-handed hitters, and specific ratings against the left-handed hitter. And there's no math involved. It's just right there. It just depends on the play boards. The batters, I mean, it's Apple baseball with a little more numbers there. So let's roll a few innings, and we'll see how this does. Okay, so leading off for the Minnesota Twins is Hoskin Powell. He will play in right field. Roy Smalley is next. The shortstop, he'll bat second. Ron Carew will play first and bat third. Glenn Adams is your DH. He cleans up. Butch Weininger is the catcher. He'll bat fifth. Disco Dan Ford will bat sixth and play center. Mike Cubbage, the third baseman, bats seventh. Willie Norwood, the left fielder, bats eighth, and Rob Wilfong bats ninth. We're going to learn this together. Dave Goltz is your pitcher, and as you can see, his grades are pretty good. On the ones that you can stop a hit against the lefty, he can stop them up to a 3-3 dice roll. So there's 2 dice rolls to everything, every batter, and it's all automated. This is all set to be automated, from the boards that it reads to how many outs to that. You can change however you want. But as you'll notice, well, we'll get to that in a minute. I'll get to that second thing in a minute. So this is an as-played lineup game from the first game of the 1978 season. So I go to roll. The dice roll is a 5-2 and a 5-2, but let's look at the first one. And for Powell, that's a ground out to third. So there's 1 out. If you're familiar with the APPA boards, you're going to be mostly familiar with how this works. The changes are on how those hits that can be stopped are stopped, and some modifying of extra base hits is involved, even though I haven't seen that yet. Here's Roy Smalley, and he rolls a 2-1, and you see that 13 light up there in the blue. And because Abbott is not a strikeout pitcher, and Smalley is batting left-handed, that K1 right here turned that strikeout into a ground out to third. And so if you looked at the board, I wonder if I can find this for you. So 2-1 with the bases empty. Well, it doesn't show it. Never mind. So anyway, but that's the beauty of it. If you were playing on the actual boards itself, it would tell you K1, ground out to third, put out at first. And the at bat, go to 2 out, and here's Rod Carew. And the dice roll is a 3-1. So it's an 8. He can't stop an 8. That's what that green now you see on the current grade. So he can't stop an 8. And so Carew gets a 2-out single to left center. Brings up the DH Glenn Adams. And the dice roll is a 1-4, which is a 30, which is going to be a fly out to left. And so Carew will be stranded at first. We've played half an inning, and there's no score. So Jose Baez will be the second baseman for Seattle. Bruce Bochy is in left. He'll bat second. Dan Meyer is at first. He'll bat third. Leroy Stanton is your DH. Rupert Jones is your center fielder. Bill Stein is your third baseman. He'll bat sixth. John Hale is in right. He'll bat seventh. Bob Stinson is your catcher. He'll bat eighth, and Craig Reynolds is your shortstop, and he'll bat ninth. And you can see how the defense is already filled in for you, along with their bunt ratings and hit and run. I guess you can change it here. Type of play, I can do standard or bunt for hit. And depending on the situation, I can do hit and run. It doesn't suggest that it suggests in the game rules on the website that you use those things sparingly. So Jose Baez is ready. And we'll have a dice roll of a 2-3, which is a 12, which is a ground out to first. Second dice roll doesn't matter. I'll bring up Bruce Bochy. And that dice roll is a 6-1, which is a 40. It's a line out to short. So there's 2 out. And for Dan Meyer. And Goltz rolls a 6-1 for a 41, and that's a pop out to short. I think some of these are randomized. But the Mariners go down in order. After 1, no score. There'll be Weiniger, Ford, and Cubbage here. Abbott's ready. And come on. Come on. Roll the dice. It's a 1-3 roll, which is a 45, which is a ground out to first. 1 out for Disco Dan Ford. And he rolls a 2-5, and that's an 8. Now you see the green there on the 12 right over here. So if that second dice roll was like a 1-1 or a 1-2, that turns into an out. Instead, it's a single to left center. So runner on first for Cubbage. And his roll is a 2-1, which is a 32, which is always a fly out to right, and the runner holds. That brings up Willie Norwood. And Abbott's pitch is a 24. And because there are 2 out, it's going to tell me, it's going to look at that board and say, oh, I don't need the double play, but I'm going to take the fielder's choice. Score at 6-4. And that's the at-bat. And we go to the bottom of the second, still in the scoreless game. You can see where Abbott's batter's face is being recorded. Same with Dave Goltz. And so it does all that work for you. It's doing all the handwork. But you have to keep score. Why am I not keeping score? Well, I'll tell you about that in a few minutes. We're going to roll Leroy Stanton, the DH. His speed is poor. And he singles over short. The 5-5 is a 9, and then the dice roll is a 4-4, which is bigger than a 2-2, which leads to a single. So Stanton has a hit. Brings up Rupert Jones. Now you notice it's not keeping track of hits and errors for you. You got to do that yourself. The dice roll is a 3-4, which is a 31, which we all know is a fly out to center field. Next, Bill Stein. And that roll, I said that roll is a 2-5. Aha! Now, you see where the screen turned blue. It's an 8, and the second roll was a 1-6, so Goltz stopped the hit. So instead of the single, it is a ground out to first, and the runner moves to second. So 2 out for John Hale with a runner on second. And so Goltz is ready, and the pitch is a foul out to short. There's a walk check there, I think. And so that ends the inning. Yeah, yep. And so now you look at your play-by-play chart over here. It tells you what the inning is. And so it's a good way if you want to keep, at the end of the game, if you want to keep score, there you have it. It tells you the situation, tells you the dice roll, tells you the play result number. All neat and tidy. Let's do one more inning here. It'll be Wilfong to lead off here against Abbott. And the dice roll is an 8, or a 4-4, which is an 8, and he can't stop the single. That brings up Hoskin Powell. Second time through the lineup for Abbott. Hasn't allowed a run. A 4-2 is a 14, and that is a walk. So first and second, nobody out for the Twins here in the top of the third. Here's Smalley. And he walks and outloads the bases. Another 14. So they're loaded for Carew. It's telling me now, if you notice here, the infield position is changed to red to remind me, how do I want to play this? In the scoreless game, do I want to play for 2 or 1? I'm going to play for 2. The roll is a 2-6, and that's another walk. So Abbott can't find the strike zone right now. They're loaded, and the Twins lead 1-0. Here's Glenn Adams. And the roll is a 4-1. That's a double play. 6-4-3. One runner scores, the other goes to third. And so the board reader changes that to a runner on third. 2 out for Weininger. And it tells me that Smalley's on third down here, and he has normal speed. And so here's Weininger. And the roll is a double. It's a second column double. So we got the 1-1, and instead of there being the 0 like there is on the APA cards, it's an H. And the second column number is a 5-3, and that's a 6, and that's a double, which scores the run. The Twins have plated 3 here in the third. So here's Disco Dan Ford, and he rolls a single. A G would score, but Weininger is a P, so he's going to stop at third. You see the speed there. And so Abbott's getting nailed. He's already pitched to 15 batters. So here's Cubbage. And the dice roll is a 2-3, which is a 12, and that's a ground out to first. So the Twins, plate 3. We go to the bottom of the third. Minnesota 3, Seattle nothing. We'll play one more half inning. It'll be Stinson, Reynolds, and Baez to face Goltz here in the third. And the first roll of the inning is a 4-1, which is a 24, which is a ground out to short. Next is Craig Reynolds. 3-4 is a 31 and a fly out to center. And then Jose Baez fouls out to first on the 35. They've changed that, so it's not always the blessed catcher. And so that's it. We go to the top of the fourth, Minnesota 3, Seattle nothing. And again, you can actually send that, create an HTML page from your play-by-play. So however you want to keep score, you can do that. It's pretty easy. I like it. All right. Okay, the name of the website is www.ntlpt.com. Ron Bernier did the board readers, but he did not come up with the game. And so this is all free. The name here. This is all free, and it's cards and dice. There's a thing on how the game is played. There's a form. You can roll your own dice. The basic game comes with the game boards like you would in some other games. A hit and run and bunt booklet. Sacrifice. If you want to do injuries, you can. The rules, how to play, injury charts. You can do some park factors if you want, player cards. And so let's go through the features. Lefty-righty matchups. As you saw, pitchers were graded not on the letter grades A, B, C, or D, or with the control things. There's specific ratings for left-handers and right-handed matchups, depending on the base, which gives pitchers a lot more granularity than you would normally have in the basic game. And it's just that second dice roll that determines what happens. You can choose not to use it. I think on the cards, I'm not sure. We'll look at some cards in a minute. Oh, pitching. Okay, so important. Oh, pitching grades are against batting average against, which is a separate set ratings for each team you as a member of, with separate ratings versus lefties or righties. So you get a pretty good grade here. This isn't the 50-50 system for Strat or some of the other games, but it just takes a granulated view on the National Pastime system and makes it better. Really, I know how to click. You can just walk a batter, bunting. There's park factors. Do you want? Let's take a look at the players' cards here. You can see with Spawn, the individual splits for the righties and the lefties. Those come right on the card. And Ernie Banks and his good defense at short. I mean, if you're familiar with Abbott, then you're certainly familiar with how these cards read. I'll read the section on pitching ratings explained. The next section of the player's card is have a heavy black line across the top and bottom. If a player is a pitcher, you will see information between the lines. Otherwise, the section will be blank, except for a player with special base running instructions. The splits are pretty easy. Okay, returning to Warren Spawn's card above against right-handed batters, his grade is 24. His control rating is a Z3. His strikeout rating is K2. His park home run rating is a 2. They come in from time to time on the boards. And as you saw in the game demonstration, that has to do with controlling the 7 through 10 as you would if you're familiar with Abbott. What's this one do? Let's take a look on the page. If you look at the MISC page, it gives you all the chances to download. So the rules, the cards, you can see the seasons. Let's take a look at the 98 Junior Circuit or the American League. So the cards come on pages that you have to print out yourself if you want to do the cards and dice. With the disclaimer, they come 9 to a sheet, 9 to a page. You have to do your own cutting, but it's free. These are what a gift from the community. So I said a lot of 80 seasons. There's no 81 or 87 for the 80s, and there's only 2 90 seasons done. I'm not sure how much interest there is for those, but all the 70s are there. He's missing 65, and some of they just haven't done a lot of the older things. And then you can just, depending on what rules you want to play, there's combined ratings and supplemental ratings and fielding charts and all that. Let's take a look at this one from 89. The fielding distribution chart, if you're not sure how that you want it to go, depends on the rules. Just to keep things random, to do a good job in keeping things random in a game that's pure cards and dice, and you only have 30, between 36 different chances of something to happen on a first dice roll. Park factors per season, if you want to play that. Lineup sheets for every year. So it gives you, if you want to play the Cubs from 89, for instance, it gives you a suggested batting lineup. And then their starting rotation: Maddox, Sutcliffe, Mike Bielecki, Scott Sanderson, and Paul Kilgus, what order you should use them, and then the bullpen. And then some bench players and how to use the players on the bench and what they should play. You can now call your own steals, I think, for not every season. That's new. Then the board reader, which you can download each year as a spreadsheet. And he's upgrading all these all the time. So, like I said, all the 80 seasons except 81 and 87 are there. And then he's got a complete run from 66 to 80. Let's go to the About page. Trying to get a name. And so the guy who created his name is Bill. Where's his form? Here we go. Oops, not found. I guess there's no form, but if you go over to Tabletop Sports at Delphi Forbes, you could find plenty of information there when they release a new season. All right, the light bulb blew in here. early, so it's a little darker than I'd like. But yeah, I was looking for a game to do a longer term replay of that goes back to cards and dice. As you know, for me, it's physically really hard to do a pure card and dice replay. Dice roll, you don't want to choke on dice, and cards get everywhere, and that. So I was giving this game a little bit of a spin. Not sure if I'll use it for that or the other one that you haven't seen the videos of yet, which is basically a similar type deal. Um, Someone else's take on Appa, but I'm gonna sneeze here. Hold on. Hit the pause button and the sneeze goes away. But I think this game needs some love in the community. It's completely free. Like I said, every season, pretty much from 66 to 90 or 89 is there, with the exception of 81 and 87. Um, Absolutely free. You print them out. If you're familiar with how APA or APPA works, you know how to read the boards. They're a lot of the same results. A 24 is going to be a ground ball to short. you know, and I like the little quirks of the ballpark factors, even though I haven't run into those yet, and how pitchers can, how pitchers are graded to stop hits. That's a lot better. And so, it's 4 die. That's all you need. It's two red and two white die, and the speed on the bases are the same. And if you're familiar with I guess this would be kind of similar to the APA Master game. You're not calling your own steals anyway. I guess that the option's there to do that. It's just not on the board reader yet. Um, and I imagine once you picked it up, if you memorize the board results, it plays pretty quick. It's a good tweener game. And so I thought you'd want to see that. And I wish them the best of luck, and I hope they continue to create seasons. So Ron Bernier, thanks a bunch for creating the board reader. But this is a guy by the name of Bill's Game, and I hope he continues to produce seasons for it. I'm Ron Juckett for Retro Sports Network. Hit the like button and subscribe. We'll talk to you the next time.